I just freaking love Resident Evil. I love the stories, the gameplay, the survival horror aspect of the first few games, but let's go back to there. There is definitely nothing better than a hot summer night, playing Resident Evil in the dark, and then letting the sun jump scare get to you. And with that in mind, a creepypasta was bound to be made about this game. More specifically, the remake version. There are many parts in the story I had to fix due to poor grammar. I do like the atmosphere and the pacing of the story. I just felt that the story needed more of an explanation of if the game was hacked, or maybe if the protagonist was completely off his nut. Also, I felt the story could have been a bit longer and added some more scary details, but whatever, which further's written. And now to end this, I might as well just say, whoever wrote this really needs to fix the grammar.
I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil, and I wanted to buy a new copy of Resident Evil Remake, because my last CD got scratched heavily and broke due to my carelessness. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of money, so I went to a local swap meet. Well, I did find what I wanted, but the CDs looked as ugly as hell. The front picture and the logo was torn up, the R was missing, and the D was half missing. I'm a very picky person, and I love my CDs clean and looking brand spanking new, so I thought to myself to buy these CDs for a moment. It was only 17 bucks here, and the copies at GameStop easily cost about 25. So being a cheap bastard I am, I got the B-up run. I went home as fast as I could because I was so anxious to play a game. I popped the CD inside of my Nintendo Wii, and I went to the little Gamecube logo and clicked start. The usual text box popped up with the graphic, violent, strong language. Then I went to the part with the zombie laying on the bed. It started normally and the game worked fine. The intro played normally too, but it all started to go wrong when the gameplay started. The dining room looked the same, Barry's dialogue was the same, but what was off was when I went into the corridor with the zombie eating Kenneth. The whole thing was different. The corridors were red and there were no doors. The window right near where the zombie was eating Kenneth was gone and the door next to them was too. I walked to the part where Kenneth and the zombie were and the cutscene played. It was the camera zooming in on the zombie with those chewing noises that sounded fairly the same as before. But when the camera zoomed in on the zombie, it turned around and his eyes were missing. The noise instead was the sound of a loud screech that was so loud it nearly made me deaf. I was scared out of my mind. I pushed the pause button and I took a 1-minute break. After I calmed down, I unpaused the game and continued playing. By the way, the zombie wasn't like the other slow, stupid zombies. No, it was as fast as a prism head and it acted like one too. I fired at that son of a bitch as much as I could, but not a damn thing happened. The zombie grabbed me and I kept shaking the analog stick left and right, but the motherfucker wouldn't budge off and eventually Jill died. What was weird about this was that I didn't get the "you are dead" screen, but instead teleported me to the front hall. I was staying in the front hall and it had lightning as usual. Not only that, the room actually had doors. What sucked ass is none of the doors opened, and they all said the doorknob is broken. As soon as I went to the door in the middle of the second floor, all of a sudden the zombie broke through the damn door. I jumped 20 feet in the air and his screech was so loud I heard my aunt yell, "Turn that shit down!" I lowered the volume as low as I could and the zombie kept hitting Jill. I kept fighting back, but I found that the zombie was immoral and that he couldn't die, no matter what I did. I decided I was bored with the game and I turned it off. Later on, I went to my bed and I was ready to take a nap when the Wii turned itself on and the console was clicking the Gamecube box and started the game by itself. I was in shock. I held the power button on the Wii for a couple of seconds like you're supposed to, but it wouldn't turn off. I looked at the TV and it showed that Jill was in the same area I left off at, in the front hall of the mansion. I decided to give the game another shot, so I picked up my Gamecube controller and I started to play. I kept roaming around the room for 10 minutes straight and jack shit happened. I was getting tired and bored, but then I heard a voice coming from the game. It sounded like Wesker's voice and it sounded like, "Death will not be your end." I was creeped the fuck out. All of a sudden a cutscene rolled in and out of nowhere. It was Wesker walking to Jill, but Wesker looked like he did in Code Veronica, with red eyes and blood all over his face. He said, "Jill, I'm proud of you. You're as much of a stupid bitch as I thought." Jill looked at him with a curious face, as if she was thinking, "What the hell?" Then all of a sudden, Wesker pinned down Jill, pulled out a knife, and he started to cut Jill's eyes out. I was scared out of my fucking mind. What sick fuck made this shit? You can hear Wesker laughing, his blood was flying everywhere all over the screen. Jill kept trying to fight back, but after a minute or so, Jill's eyes were removed. Wesker then looked at the camera and was laughing hysterically. The game over screen came up and it said, "You're next." The game then shut itself down. I was shocked. I had never seen crazy shit like this before, and I kept thinking about that "You are next" game over screen. It wouldn't get out of my head. I kept telling myself that it was just a joke played by punks for people who bought this shit, but still, I just wanted to get this game off my chest, so I went to break the discs, but the discs didn't break for some odd reason, so I used a knife to cut the discs in half. What is creeping me out is that as I'm typing this right now, I see a silhouette of a figure out my window. It looks a lot like Wesker, and it looks like he's holding a small knife.